This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our partner, Audible.
Yes, it is. So we are partnered with Audible. That means that if you are looking just to check it out, you don't want to put your card in and just take the dive. You can get 30 days for free on us. If you go to audibletrial.com/JATG or click the link down below, you'll be taken there. You can sign up for 30 days for free and just test it out. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get for free, a lot of Audible exclusives. But what I really like about Audible is that out of the hundreds and thousands of audiobooks that they have, if you decide to purchase something, that is yours forever. Like if you decide not to carry on your subscription or you want to take a break or whatever it is, you can always go back and listen to that book whenever you want through the app on the internet. Doesn't matter because it's yours. So once again, you can get that for 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG.
Usually, right around now, that means we're live. Oh, are we live yet or no?
We're
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. So let's just wait for our whole entire audience to show up. And welcome to Johnny and the Greg, episode 144. Can you believe that?
No, really?
Yes, we are on
Wow.
episode 144.
And that's just in this version of the show. Like
correct. Yeah.
Like in total, we've got over 200 for sure.
At least. If
Here's
you
your
guys
Topic
don't know
Thunder
what that
for
is,
yeah.
those were back in the day. That was like what? Topic Thunder and just the Johnny Angel podcast before I wised up and got my co-host.
Before he permanently put me in the
Yeah. Welcome aboard. Sorry, guys, it has been a while, hasn't it? We haven't talked in a while, and we're gonna probably continue that trend because we're getting busy. I'm going to San Diego next weekend, so I won't podcast then. But as soon as we get back on the regularly scheduled program,
July, probably
July. Yeah, probably July, maybe even August, I'm guessing.
Oh, really?
I'm guessing we're just super busy. We seem to be traveling.
Well, yeah, I'm less traveling now. I'm prepping for my oldest daughter's graduation party. So that is taking up a whole lot of my time because we're doing stuff to the house and home project kind of things.
Oh, I know all about home projects. Yes. Yep. Those always are interesting. Actually, it's kind of a good thing. It gets you motivated to do things you have probably put off. I'm not saying you in general, I'm saying everybody.
No, I think
put off.
I think you're right. That is totally the I think it's the pattern. I mean, it happened with my parents, it happened with my wife's parents. You just put off doing home projects until you're having some kind of major event, and then all of a sudden you have to get them done within like a month. Like
exactly. We hosted Christmas this year, and it was the first time since we had the, our floors put in, and so everything like just down. My wife, so everything from the door handles had to be changed, and the door hinges to match the door handles, and all of that shit. So I know exactly what that's like. You have like 3 weeks to get it all done. So that'll be fun though. Yeah, we'll probably podcast about that entire night. That'll probably be our podcast. Yeah,
I mean it's I don't know. It's a weird feeling.
About your kid graduating?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I've had nieces and nephews graduate already, which is fine. I mean, you're looking at it, you're like, oh, that's good. And they're moving on, stuff like that. But once it's your own kid, you're like, well, am I old enough to have somebody graduating? I mean, I am, but I mean, I have friends that, I think actually this weekend, a guy I went to high school with, his daughter just graduated college with a nursing degree. Wow. And you're like, wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine what I'm going to go through.
I know.
I'll be going into retirement when she graduates high school.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding. Um, yeah. So going when you're not spending a lot of money, or you're spending a lot of money on a graduation, you don't have a lot of money to spend elsewhere. Which brings me to the first question. We're going to go into movie reviews today, but it brings me into a question that I was discussing with my lovely wife in the car. I guess Taylor Swift came.
She was in Chicago recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
And from what I understand, the ticket prices, I think the cheapest ticket was like $1,000, right?
It's ridiculous. And she sold out. I mean, she
Okay.
sold out Soldier
So
Field.
I was sitting there and I asked my wife, I said, I just made a statement. I
Yeah.
said, I don't think I'd pay $1,000 to see anybody.
No.
And I was literally trying to think, what
Who would
would
it
I
be? Yeah.
spend? I know for a fact I would not spend $1,000 on a concert, but I'm not a concert guy. You are.
A little bit. Yeah.
So what's the highest you'd go, you think?
Not very high,
What's the highest
honestly.
you've ever gone, if I may be so bold?
Well, I love live music,
Uh-huh.
but I don't do, we really don't do
Concerts?
concerts. Like we don't like when bands that we like come around, like the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters are going to be in Milwaukee this summer for the Harley Davidson
That's
celebration.
hilarious because you brought that up in a text under
Yeah.
different circumstances, but I brought that up to Ursula this week too, and she was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah," because I was guessing. I haven't been to a lot of concerts. I think I've been to 4 my entire life.
Okay.
You know,
The concerts I've been to. So for those of you that aren't local, there's in Milwaukee, there's a thing called Summerfest, which is a huge music celebration. It used to be 2 straight weeks of just concerts, and they would get A-list names.
yes,
And
it would.
there was, excuse me, there was guys on the main stage, which you would need a separate ticket to get into, but they weren't usually too much.
Right.
But even on the other stages around the festival, they had big names, and it was one entrance fee. So you'd pay, you know, 20-30 bucks at the time, because this was pre-COVID, the last time I went, to get in. And then you saw, like, if you got there when they opened, which I think was around noon,
Mhm.
you could stay until midnight catching every band.
Yeah.
Local big names, local people, regional people. It was great.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I think I looked up the Foo Fighter tickets, and it wasn't 500 for the base ticket, but there were $500 tickets there.
Really?
Yeah, but it was, over 100, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Like I just wouldn't. I mean, I can't think of
Well, I
any,
think
any
now
band.
where you're at in
Yeah.
your life, it's different versus maybe in your 20s and you want to take your bride
Sure.
out,
Yep.
So, but still, I was thinking, like I said, to me, I never, I'll be honest, I'm not a concert person. I never understood concerts. I never thought they sounded as good as they did on the CD that I bought at the
Well,
time.
sure.
Or now it would be whatever I'm on my phone.
Streaming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
streaming it. And I don't have to wait in line to go into a bathroom that's horrible. I don't have to be next to somebody that could possibly, I don't know, spill beer on me, or there's a numerous reasons why I've
Sure.
never liked the idea of a concert. But
Mhm.
I just can't. If somebody's out there can actually comment on us, we're live on Facebook right now, or at Johnny and the Greg page.
.com.
Um,
No, Johnny. Yeah, on our webpage, or even if you're listening to this on Facebook later in the week, go ahead and join in the conversation.
yeah, yes. So give us, what's the highest you guys would pay for, and would you pay? Are you guys a Swiftie? Would you pay 1,000? I heard she runs a good show, but $1,000?
There was, because like I said, it was at Soldier Field, but along the lakeshore, there's like a park or a bike trail, or there's green space outside of Soldier Field,
Yeah.
which drew about 1,000 people I saw. So people in lawn chairs just set up and they listened to the concert for free.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever it was to park down there.
Yeah.
But they weren't shelling out the concert ticket. And the concert ticket, like if you're in the cheap seats, like
Yeah.
whatever the cheapest seats are,
Yes.
you're watching that concert on the Jumbotron.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, so, and I got this a little bit when I was in San Diego a couple weeks ago. So the conference I was at was held at the same venue that Comic-Con is at. And I've never been to a Comic-Con, or I've never been to the Comic-Con.
In San Diego.
And in San Diego Comic-Con, never been. I understand the immensity of it now. So I went, like, the main where they had the keynote speakers was in Hall H, like it was in the mega hall.
Yeah.
And so I got to see all the seats. But unless you were in that front section, you didn't see the stage. You were in the back watching it on, again, a
screen,
on a giant screen.
Yeah.
And that because they had two screens on the side. And then as each section went farther and farther back, they had other drop down screens.
Yeah.
And if that was me, and I saw, so I walked around on the not the lakefront, but the bay, which is right behind the convention center. And I remember seeing footage like, this is the line to get into Hall H on like Saturday morning of Comic-Con. It goes from the entrance that they funnel you through, down the giant staircase, and then along this entire walkway where people are set up with lawn chairs and snacks and whatever to get into Hall H. And I'm like, if I'm in one of the very back sections and I'm watching this on the big screen, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, because there's always YouTube 2 or 3 days later.
Exactly. Or there are places that just live stream it now.
Yeah.
Where the camera is on a shot, much like I'm on now. And I'm like, I guess, and yes, it's, I think, my age. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. There's a lot I wouldn't do now because of my
age. Like go sit in a lawn chair or and overnight, by the way. These people are there overnight waiting to get into Hall H.
Yes.
And I'm like, no thanks.
Would you go to a basement party anymore?
I've been in some pretty nice basements in my old age because guys get them done up. But like the ones you're talking about, like when we were in college and like
like the reason I bring that up is because I was asked to, hey, like a couple of I guess you would say in-law cousins.
Okay.
Right. They would invite me to like University of Illinois and the University of Michigan to go and party with them. And I thought, no, man. Because and they're like, you don't want to party? I'm like, absolutely not. I don't, I'd be in bed by 9.
Yeah. Like, I don't party like that anymore.
Yeah, I don't party like that. I would walk down there and like look at where I'm at and go, what the hell am I doing in here?
Yeah.
And then what's weird is even if I went to a place like that, the age I'm at now, I'm the creepy guy.
Yeah. The basements that you and I used to drink in when we were in college.
Yes.
And we're both over 6 foot. And it was maybe a 6 foot basement. So you're sitting here like this.
Yeah.
With your head bent.
You're breathing in all the smoke. Everybody's
breathing in smoke. Your head's between the rafters with all the cobwebs, or if you can't find a place to sit down. And if you do find a place to sit down, you're kind of questioning that place. I have no desire to go back to that.
I agree. Yeah.
And
so I was just thinking about weird things that I used to be like totally like all for it. Let's go.
Well, and I met a girl. Well, this graduation party that I was at yesterday. A girl there is going to UW-Madison for she's going to be a freshman next year at UW, and I think that's great, and happy for her. And I'm like, okay, so when you're down on where all the college housing is, don't go on the balcony because they're rickety and they collapse. Maybe not in the past couple of years, but there's stories. Don't go on the balcony. Don't go underneath the balcony. Stay away from the balcony.
Okay.
When I was 30 and a friend close to 30, probably late 20s, early, going there, and like they had it was a 3rd story, like a 3-story beer bong.
Oh.
And that was the entrance to get into the party.
Oh.
And the guy we were with, he was like, this is my sister's place, but we got to do this to get into the party. And I'm like, Okay. They didn't make our wives do it. They're like, you dudes need to do this if you want to come in. And the guy's sister's up there. She's like, come on, Joe, you got to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he did one, I did one, and we went in I wouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah. You know what? I never understood the beer bong. I never
I
got it. I never understood
well,
it. Aaron
I
made one, my roommate, he made one where he connected a valve to it.
oh yeah, like we could turn it
And
on
when
and off.
he
Mhm.
when he released the valve, the pressure shot out like you wouldn't believe, or something
Oh
like that.
yeah, yeah, it
Something,
was.
yeah. And I've never done a beer bong, and I
You
just
not even when we were
never.
in what?
No, I just didn't
How'd
care
you?
for it. I thought that's stupid. Why would I want a shotgun that's something that's going to burn my throat? Why would I want to do that?
Well, it was
That's
usually
how I
cheap
looked at it.
beer. So,
Huh?
so it's usually cheap beer.
Right.
Did
Which
you
is not helping the argument.
no? But did you do keg stands? Were you a keg stand guy? I don't
No,
remember.
no,
I
I
don't
never
remember
did
you
that
doing
either.
that. I remember
Never
us
did that.
holding up a couple people. Aaron.
Yeah, I always help
Um,
somebody.
I
Usually
mean,
a girl, but
I did a couple of those, but yeah,
did
we
you?
like. Oh yeah, I did a couple of kickstands. I mean, not
I didn't
that
never did
was
anything like that.
like I didn't enjoy that as much as I enjoyed a beer bong, but
I'm almost opposed to shots now. Like that shot we did in Green Bay.
oh, the
That was,
Shotsky,
yeah,
yeah,
that was lucky that I did that. Like you guys were
really.
lucky. Yeah, yeah. I don't.
Those weren't even full shots.
Oh,
Those
I know.
were,
I'm just kind of like,
I would rather. I had this conversation with somebody at this graduation party too. I would almost rather like do shots than drink. Like,
hmm,
line me up at the bar. Like if we're sitting at the bar and they say you can have like so many, let's do 1 hour. And if you went through 3 beers in an hour or something like that, which I know in some places are like, oh my God, are you okay? And some places are like, no, that's normal. Um, I would almost rather, instead of doing like 3 pints of beer, like every 15 minutes, let's just do a shot and
you
drink
sip
water.
it or are you talking about shot it down your
No,
throat?
let's do a shot.
Okay,
And then that's your
that's your thing.
drink. That's your drink. Instead of drinking 3 pints of beer or 4 pints of beer in an hour,
I see.
let's just every 15 minutes do one
I've
shot
never thought of
and then have like
thought of that.
water or soda for the rest of.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I could see where you're talking about there. Yeah.
Like I would almost rather do that, like
Okay.
than order a cocktail, get
Yeah.
through that and then do 2 or 3 cocktails in an hour.
All
Let's
right.
just do a couple shots in an hour and then drink like soda or water for the rest of the time. I would be okay with that.
Okay. All right. Um, I'll keep that in mind next time we hang out.
It's I mean
But just do shots.
yeah, I mean it's a different way to think about it, and you're doing roughly the same amount of alcohol. I mean, it's not a.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
never thought of it. I never looked at it like that. Yeah.
you
So, yeah.
you turned me on to a drink years ago.
Long Island,
No,
Oh.
those are fantastic, but no,
if they're made right.
the redheaded slut is the shot.
I did.
Yeah, you turned me on to that. But I believe the first time I had it with you, like they mixed it up as like a cocktail, and it
Oh
it
yeah.
was served to me in that format. And then I went to other bars and they're like, no, that's a shot. Like that makes a lot of sense from the first time. They put it in like a scotch glass. I'm like, well, this is delightful. And I had that for equivalent of 3-4 shots in a glass. But
Yeah. So I didn't think you'd pay a lot to go.
yeah, no,
go to a
I don't.
concert.
I don't. Like I've had the opportunity even to go to like the signatures or the autograph or the
Yeah.
picture opportunities
Yeah.
at the Comic Cons and stuff. I can only think of one celebrity that I would go north of 100 for, and I'm not going way north of 100.
Yeah.
Like,
Who you got?
but
Who is it?
Mark Hamill. Like if Mark Hamill,
Okay.
if he was at a con that I went to, because he was the man for me, like
Yeah,
growing
I
up.
get it.
I mean,
Like
'cause,
Harrison
like,
Ford would be the man for me.
sure, yeah.
Like, yeah. When everybody was into Star Wars when I was a kid, I was more into indie.
Mhm.
I was
And,
more
and if Christopher Reeve was still around, he would be one that I would
yeah.
maybe shell out
Okay.
like up to 150.
Yeah. The
But
only thing I thought where I would go north of 1,000, and it would be because I know I would never do it again is a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's probably it.
that's a once in a lifetime, but
Yeah.
even still, like if you're at a grand, and I think it has to do with, just our adult lives and like what
Yes.
it's all a matter of scale. Some people go to the
That's
Super Bowl
nothing.
every year and they go, so
Yeah.
it's a grand, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I drive I drive a shitty van from like almost last century. So no, I'm not dropping a G on that.
It, I just think of 1,000 other things I'd rather do
Yeah.
with that money.
And a lot more like you could
And
get
a lot more. Yeah. Get a
instead of
lot
doing
more.
a one night event for a couple of hours,
Right.
I could go to for a week somewhere
Yeah.
in some
Exactly.
places. And that's
Exactly.
so
Like take a weekend, a private week, like a private getaway, or like I'm sorry, not private, like my wife and I weekend away type thing for 1,000. Like I'd rather put 1,000 into that.
yeah. A resurrected Freddie Mercury might demand a little bit of cash out of me, but not much. Like I'm not.
Okay.
If they
Okay.
said, "Hey, you can we've resurrected Freddie Mercury, and he's doing a one night only show, and you could
You might do that. Yeah.
you could pay $400 to get in," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's maybe think
Figure
about it."
that out. Let's figure that out.
But if they said it was 500, I'd be like, "Happy for you, Fred. Can't do it."
Speaking of Freddie Mercury, that's a
Yeah.
good transition actually.
Okay.
So it's kind of funny because it's the least thing I expected today's, but it was a beautiful day out where we were, and we kind of have this thing where the family, on a Sunday, if it's a nice day, we'll get out and go for a walk, and we'll go for like a 3-mile walk because
Yeah.
we walk all the way to like this Starbucks, and then we can walk all the way back, and
Mhm.
it's just like this morning thing we do.
Yeah. That's your
So
pattern.
basically, long story short, what happened was we walked smack dab into a pride parade.
Oh, okay.
Never happened in my life. Like, what I'm saying is it wasn't our destination, but Gwen
But here you
Gwen
are.
Gwen made there we were. Gwen never has seen a parade before in her life. She hasn't
Oh,
experienced
really?
a parade. Yeah.
Okay.
And so we told her this is a parade. This is what they're setting up for. And she's like, "Can I watch?" I'm like, "I don't care. Yeah, go ahead. Let's
Sure.
watch it."
Yeah.
And so, like, how am I going to take away her first experience? So it's what's really, I mean, I've never been to a pride parade. I don't look to go to one, but I certainly, they can like be
You're
there.
not actively avoiding one either.
Yeah, exactly. So we're there, and Gwen made out like it was Christmas. Like she got candy, and
Okay.
like
Yeah.
they gave out everything. They gave out like popsicles, and they gave out all this stuff, and she's thinking, "Oh my god, this is the greatest thing of all time." She's having drag queens give her flags, and it's great. It was so funny.
Yeah.
And she's like, because in her eyes, this is all magical, and they got these
Absolutely.
balloons and these rainbows, and she goes, "Dad, they have all of my favorite colors." I was like,
Well, sure.
"Okay, yeah." So that was very cool. Just to watch her experience that. That was really cool.
Mhm.
And so I just thought it was hilarious because I looked at Ursula and I said, "Did you think on Sunday we'd be here right
Here.
now?" She's like, "Nope, not at all." But it's
That's
just
cool.
kind of funny how life takes you to a place and all of a sudden you're experiencing something you never thought you'd experience. But
Mhm.
it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is cool.
Yeah. So what'd you do this weekend? Did you
Uh,
accidentally walk into a parade?
I didn't know. I
No?
would be absolutely shocked if there was a pride parade in my hometown.
Yeah.
Um,
What about at that other one? The one that's like your neighboring town that has that small little square. Do they have that there?
oh, well, I meant like the town I grew up in, but
Oh,
no, there uh the town to the east, there's nothing there.
yeah.
The town to the west, where I lived for 10 years, they do have an event.
Okay.
I don't know when it is, but it's at the downtown. It's called Riverside Park, and they have an event. They have entertainers. It's music. It's food. There's vendors. I don't think there's a parade though. I think it's just at that park.
The only thing that actually made me upset was they were handing out. They started every now and then there'd be somebody that passed by and they'd hand out a political thing. Like
Well,
The one
Yeah.
had political stickers on her, and I'm like, take those off. Like,
Yeah.
don't turn it into a political thing.
But every parade has that. I mean,
Yes.
you can't go through a 4th of July parade without some local representative having a float being like, hey, here you go, vote for me. I mean, that's
Yeah.
typical.
There's like 7.
Yeah, no, and I believe it. I mean,
Yeah.
I
But
remember my first post high school 4th of July.
yeah.
And I was sitting at the parade, and I mean, you're 18 years old, like you're not running out to get candy, you're not
Right.
getting anything.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, I don't even know who he was, but he was handing out like some kind of swag that was interesting to me.
Okay.
And I just shout out, I'm like, hey, I'm 18 now. And he's like, whoa, come on. And he gave me whatever he was handing out. And I was like, yeah, that's all it takes. I mean, just tell me you're 18, you can vote. And they're like, well, let me tell you something. Here's my, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Also, my daughter had her first ever dance recital,
saw pictures.
which
Good.
is something that I didn't think I would care about. But when you sit there and you watch, and it was all the performances from like senior year of high school all the way down to her, she's at ground floor level of learning this. And
Correct.
so it was really cool. I think that was my first watching my little girl perform thing.
Did you get
So
teary eyed?
yeah, I did. I was
Yep.
shocked. I got teary eyed. Absolutely blown away by shocked.
Yep.
I didn't think I would be emotional about it. I thought I'd be like, okay, cool. Like I actually thought my little girl would just get up there and freeze.
Yeah.
But no,
Yep.
she went up there and she did it. And they didn't practice it. She got up there that day and she did it. And I was like,
Mhm.
wow, okay, good for you. So but
I'm shocked. I mean, not shocked at that, but I had that when my kids were starting to like, sing in school or be up
yeah,
on stage or something like that. I mean, it just hits you. You're like,
yeah, exactly. It
my
was
my
emotional. I didn't think it would be
yeah.
emotional.
My daughter's asked me now, she's like, Dad, are you gonna cry at my graduation? Like she's expecting me to, like she really wants me to feel that level of emotion. I'm like, yeah, I probably will. She's
Yeah.
like, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you're gonna see me do it, but I will.
It's funny. I was talking to a her name is Lou. She's my aunt's friend, and
Mhm.
I love her. She's so down to earth. And she's one of those people that believe like you're graduating. Congratulations. That's the expectation.
A little bit, yeah.
Why
Yeah.
am I going to get teary eyed about you
Right.
doing the
For you
expect-
doing the bare minimum that the law requires.
And when she was breaking it down
Yeah.
that way, I was like, she's got a point.
It's compulsory education. You had to go or you go to jail. I mean,
She was like, why? And she has this kind of nasally way she talks, and she just says like, that's the expectation. Why would I congratulate that?
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if you're like she's like, if you get straight A's for all 4 years, that's an accomplishment. So I was like, okay, you
yeah.
got a point, but I'm still gonna kind of like be proud of her.
I'm still, yeah, it's not gonna change the fact
Yeah.
that I'm gonna be a proud parent. But
Yeah.
um
But anyway, yeah.
oh God, if that for our generation, if that was the case, we wouldn't have gotten congratulated for shit.
No.
Like even getting a college degree, they would have been like, yeah,
Well, you've been there
that's
for 4 years. You better come
yeah.
back with something.
And you and I were both there for longer than 4 years, and they were like,
4.5.
yeah, what took you so damn long? Come on.
Yeah. I got that. It took you 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's
Yeah.
that's I mean, there was when I was teaching, I mean, you didn't brag about a master's degree when you were teaching because it was the standard. Like
well,
we all had
I was gonna say, doesn't everybody have it now?
well, I think it's changed because they don't pay you based on education anymore.
Oh,
And at least not where I was working or the states I was working. I mean, if you got one, you might get a bump. But it's not like where there was like we had a graph and it was called, you had steps and lanes. So you like how many years you worked and then how many credits you had. And that's what would move you to kind of more the bottom right of the graph.
got it.
was based on your credits and then how many years you were teaching.
Right.
So you could, and there was like a master's line, like here, the midline is the master's, which is where you could maybe start to touch a livable wage and try to raise a family on that. So yeah, a lot of people went and got their master's as soon as they were able to, just for the idea of like, if I want to make any kind of a living, I got to go do that.
Right.
And then all that changed in Wisconsin after they changed some laws. So, but yeah, I mean, it was like you didn't put it on your email signature, like
Yeah.
like somebody if you
Masters
get a PhD,
yeah.
like if you get a PhD, that's an accomplishment in education. I mean, you put it on there, John Angel PhD, but you didn't put like John Angel MS or anything like that.
Master of the Multiverse.
Yeah, no. And when I switched over to corporate life and I didn't put it on there, and my boss just gave me no end of shit for it. She's like, "Why don't you put that on there?" I'm like, "It's not a big deal." She's like, "It's a very big deal." I'm like, "Is it though?" I mean, there's a lot of people out there with MBAs and stuff like that. I mean, they're like, and they all put it in there. You got to put it in there. She made me put it in there. And I was like,
really?
Yeah, she did. It was like an expectation that I had my MEPD at the end of my name, and I'm like, okay. And didn't think it was a big deal. Think about it, but
yeah. Yeah. So let's switch before we get way off it. You saw a movie that I am seriously considered taking my daughter to see if she can actually.
Did she watch the first one?
She loves the first one.
Okay, then yeah, then it's totally about the same. I went and saw Spider-Man, the new animated Spider-Man
Across the Multiverse, or the Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse, yes.
Okay.
Across the Spider-Verse. One thing to know, because I didn't know this until yesterday.
Okay.
It is part 1.
Cliffhanger.
So yes.
Cliffhanger. Okay.
Like very much so.
Okay.
It's almost like if you were like Lord of the Rings style cliffhanger.
Okay.
Where it's like they're starting to gear up to do something and credits roll and to be continued. And you're like, okay, yep, I mean, it's a great cliffhanger, but like the entire theater was like, oh, because they didn't know.
You like it?
Yeah, it's a
Very
good
much
movie.
So?
It's a good movie. There's like across the nation, there's some audio like not audio feedback, but there's points in the movie where you have trouble hearing the dialogue through the
music or
something. The music and the action and whatnot. I have a feeling Sony might be putting out a fix to that.
Okay.
Soon. So there was a touch of that, but not bad. Not that it took me so far out of the film that I couldn't enjoy it.
Okay.
Good film, good continuation of the story that they set up with Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like
good art.
The whole movie is just beautiful, and how they incorporate, the scenery and the color and the motion to help add to the story.
Yeah.
Just not possible in a live action film. Like in fact, if they did that in a live action film, it would be distracting.
Okay.
But in this film, it adds so much to it. You're like, this is gorgeous. Like every frame is like a work of art. I mean, just really, really cool.
Awesome. I think because you and your family are very, how do I say this, artistic friendly.
Sure. Yeah.
You guys would I feel I would go there and I would appreciate it, but I don't think I would appreciate it on your level, as well as my wife looks at it as a cartoon. She has not switched over. There's
animated
times, there's many times I've sat there and said to her, like, this is actually good. You want to watch it? Did you like the Dungeons and Dragons movie? Yeah. I think you might like Vox Machina. She's like, it's a cartoon. I'm like, it's animated, but it's like an adult story. Like,
that's a very purely American attitude. I
Yeah,
mean,
she won't switch.
and there's and I, as much as I'd say she just hasn't watched the right thing yet, until she can open up her mind enough to sit down and watch the right thing,
Yeah.
it's not gonna matter.
Well, also, like I tried to get her to rent Puss in Boots,
Okay, yeah, good
and
film.
she wouldn't do it. I'm like, watch the trailer. Like it looks like it's really good. And
Yeah.
she's like, no. I'm like, all right, what do you want to watch? And
Wow.
that's where we transitioned to the movie that I saw.
Oh yeah, okay. So you saw Sisu.
I saw Sisu. Um, holy shit, was it far-fetched, but a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I don't know if there's definitely you definitely could do more. But I mean, Greg, let's be honest. It's always a fun time to watch a Nazi get his come up.
Oh,
How you say that?
absolutely. Yeah.
Comeuppance?
Comeuppance. Yeah.
Comeuppance. What did I say?
It's comeuppance.
Comeuppance. Yeah. Uppance. Up.
Uppance.
Yeah.
Comeuppance.
I keep saying cup muppins.
Yeah. Nope. That's something else.
It is?
No, but
Oh,
we're
okay.
gonna. It sounds dirty. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Anytime a white supremacist or a fascist or a Nazi
Yeah, gets his
yeah,
just desserts.
yeah, then that's just fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a very entertaining movie. I had a lot of fun with it. There are some moments where it's one of them I absolutely, and I'll talk to you off the air. I don't even know if I want to ruin it for you because there's one thing he does that I'm like, okay, can you do that? Or like,
Okay.
is this like one in
Well,
a million things?
it's from the producers of John Wick.
Right,
So already you're in kind of the realm of possibility is very stretched.
right.
So
Yeah. What's funny, this is hilarious. As Ursula's watching it, um, she's like, okay. She's like, that wouldn't happen. And I'm like, so you not like the movie? She's like, I'm not, I'm not really into that. I'm like, oh, but you're into Fast and the Furious with what they do with their cars. And she's like, that's different. I'm like, it is not
no, it's
different
not. Those
at
movies,
all. Yeah.
God,
So
those movies are trash.
yes, they're horrible
Absolute
now. They're
trash.
horrible now.
They were out of the entire, I mean, and I think I'm other than 10, whenever John Cena comes in.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
No, so that's not 9. I haven't seen
Um,
9. I haven't seen 10.
Yeah, they're running out of bad guys because every bad guy they've taken on ends up becoming part of the gang.
Well, I heard that in 10, because it's Jason Momoa,
Yeah.
who plays almost like a Bond villain, like
Yes.
that kind
You
of
have to end it up.
like that kind of over the top
Yeah,
villain.
you have to.
And Vin Diesel's pissed off about it. He's like, well, he made it kind of like a cartoon. I'm like, bitch, you sent a car to space. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and had
Did they
people
do it
come
with duct
back.
tape?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
thought
know.
they sealed it
I've
with duct
seen
tape or something stupid.
some kind of, I saw a clip where it's a car, like the engines separate and it's some kind of car and there's people inside. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not only that,
That's
I mean, again,
ridiculous.
and look, if you're on this podcast, if you listen to this podcast long enough, you know Greg and I rip apart the Fast and the Furious because originally they were just guys that stole stereo equipment
Yeah.
off of trucks.
They
That's what they did.
They hijack semis
Yeah.
in fast cars.
Yeah, and that's all they did. Now they know how to save the world, Mission Impossible
Well,
style.
and now Vin Diesel has like a history as a super spy, like
Yes.
working for
Yes.
some clandestine,
Yes.
know,
What's his name? Mr.
alphabet
Nobody?
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Oh,
What?
yeah, exactly.
It was somewhere around Fast and the Furious 5 or 6. I was like, when are they just going to join GI Joe? Because it's that level of storytelling.
Yes.
Now where they are just super spies.
Yeah, I agree.
With special vehicles, which is exactly what GI Joe was.
Yeah, it's mask.
Yeah.
It's mask without the masks. It's just
the cars sometimes even transform now. So it's just like
really? I'm waiting for didn't he tease or Vin Diesel like mess around with it's going to be Transformers meets the Fast and the Furious or something like that?
I don't know if I read that. I thought they were going to do a GI Joe Transformers crossover.
Oh, that's
But you know
that's
what?
happened. Yeah. But
That's it happened in the comics. Yeah, but maybe I don't know. I mean, Vin's in his 50s. Like he's just trying to drag out whatever film series. I did see one clip of the girl who was in she's in Fast and the Furious. She was in D&D.
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah, she was at some red carpet event. And she's like, "What are you going to make another Marvel film? Like, come on, how many can you make?" And then they cut away to like the Fast and the Furious stuff. It's like, yeah, you said something you probably shouldn't have. But still, yeah, it's ridiculous. But you know what? As we've said before, as long as people keep paying that ticket money, they will keep.
My wife is right in line for it. She's right in line for it. What's amazing is our relationships as long as that movie's franchise is.
You know, I'm just shocked, and I would say this if she was on this show. For a woman of such impeccable taste, what the fuck?
I agree. I keep telling her, like, look, come on, can you just admit this sucks now? Come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I wanted to go back to the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, okay? Because
Sure.
I was curious about something, and somebody mentioned it on a sports show.
Radio.
Yeah,
thing?
sports
Okay.
radio. Thank you. On a sports radio, they were
Sure.
mentioning that how because I think they were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were like, "Oh, the new Spider-Man is coming out," and some guy said, "I'm getting sick of the superhero thing," and they said, "Why? What's going on?" He goes, "Because they've done everything now. Now you need to do the only thing that's left is multiverse and time travel." And I was like, "Oh my God, he's right. Oh my God, he's right." Like that's what they have to revert to now is because they've had the moment where the big bad villain of all time wiped out the entire universe. You can't top that unless you bring multiple universes to save.
Gonna disagree.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
awesome.
I am.
I want you to because I don't want to lose hope, Greg.
No. And you know what? I understand superhero fatigue. I mean, because not everything coming out is a winner now.
Right.
And we've talked about that. Marvel in the past couple of years has put up some absolute bad movies.
But even DC's now coming out with either time travel or multiversal shakeup.
But that again, it's not unique. I mean, like, especially within the DC universe, they were doing time travel and multiverse way before Marvel was.
But you're talking about in the comics.
In the comics, yes. Yeah. So from a fan perspective, like the whole multiverse thing, you're like, yeah, DC had a crossover called Crisis on Infinite Earths decades ago.
Yeah, like in the 60s or 70s, right? When they had to
read early 80s, like before you and I were old enough to afford our own comics. I mean, that was the early 80s. It was that first Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then it wasn't until really the probably the late 90s that Marvel said, you know what, we're going to come out with what we call the Ultimate Universe. And then they had the Ultimate Universe a little bit, but with the Heroes Reborn thing before. But so the point I was going to make there is it's not that that's the only place they can go, because they skipped over a lot of possible storylines. I mean, if we started here with intro story and over here is multiverse and universe, any kind of stuff, we just went and like completely skipped over all that, story possibilities.
Okay.
One thing that they haven't done is when a good guy, an established good guy,
goes bad,
becomes a bad guy. Like, I would love if they would do a storyline called World War Hulk and do it right. Like where that story is they ship the Hulk off planet because he's just too powerful. Like,
but he wasn't a bad guy.
He wasn't a bad guy. Yeah, I mean, he was too powerful. He was too destructive, and so they got rid of him. And so, Hulk lands on a different planet not the one they intended him to go to.
Right.
So it's almost like Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan, and that they were going to send him to point A. Some cosmic thing happened. He ended up at a different place that we're going to send him to paradise. Oops. Nope. He's going to like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome kind of world.
Yeah.
And while there, the Hulk conquers the planet as he becomes a gladiator and, you know,
Overthrows the bad
it's a,
guy. Yeah.
it's a Conan story. It's
Yeah.
a Conan story that he works his way through gladiatorial battles and then ends up becoming king of this world. After he's king, he falls in love. He has a queen. He has a pregnant queen.
Yep.
And then the ship that they sent him in goes absolutely nuclear and destroys the planet, kills his wife. And he's like, I'm going to kill the bastards that sent me here.
Right.
And shows up back on Earth as a conqueror.
Yeah.
Great story. The ending that they did in the comics, they pushed their way out because the Hulk didn't actually, he pulled back at the last minute.
Right.
But that'd be a great story. You know, that would be cool. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Hulk, but it anybody, you know,
so
turn anybody
after. So you're saying after the multiverse.
Yeah. I mean, we know they're going to introduce the X-Men at some point.
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Bring them in as not villains, but you know, certainly as a warring faction.
Yeah. More a threat.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to go with the Krakoa way.
It'd be weird if they jumped there.
Yeah.
I mean, but who knows? I mean, and I haven't read an X-Men book in probably 20 years.
Yeah, I picked that up because I didn't understand what the hell was going on, and it was actually done pretty well.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's been done well.
They did it pretty well. So.
To me, jumping into an X-Men book right now is like finally deciding to watch a soap opera.
Oh yeah, now it's like, I think now it's complex. Nowadays,
you're gonna be like, you know what? Now's the time. I'm gonna start watching General Hospital and figuring out that you have 50 years to catch up on. I mean, it's just like no.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah,
but but that's what I mean.
That did help me out a little bit. Yeah,
there are stories to tell that they just haven't told yet.
Well, and they just we know that, but again, I don't think Marvel and DC are going for us. But if you think of it, everything coming out right now is multiversal or it's time travel.
You know, in terms of like a Superman story, every Superman story movie that they've made, he's been on Earth and he's fighting Lex Luthor for the most part.
Right.
Until the Justice League film, and where it was an otherworldly kind of thing. But you know what? There are great, fantastic Superman stories where it doesn't take place on Earth at all.
Yeah, he's out in space.
Yeah, he's out in space discovering other planets and helping that planet, you know, overcome something. For Batman stories, I mean, if you won't go down the Elseworlds or the multiverse thing, they've got a lot of great Batman stories they could tell, like Gotham by Gaslight. That's
a great one.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne in the time of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. I mean, they just haven't really, I don't know, they haven't delved in to their source material enough. I mean, you don't have to do some original stories. You know, take this story arc from this whatever comic book you're looking at.
Yeah.
Grab that, bring it into a film. I think there's a lot there they can do.
Okay. You and I are okay with that because we grew up on the genre. I think the people like my wife, where it starts getting, wait a minute, there's more of these kings. That's what she kept saying.
Yeah.
There's more of these people. And I'm like, yeah, there's more. Like, you know, and I love the cliffhanger of Ant-Man 3 where it tied to Loki season 2.
Sure.
So she's like, wait a minute, I thought he just died. Is this before? I'm like, no, honey, this is a different version.
Different guy.
And she can't wrap her head around that. I think that's the problem.
It will be.
Yeah.
It totally will be. And if they're getting into time travel and like undoing multiple timelines and things like that, along with a multiverse thing, that is going to be confusing. That's going to be annoying.
Yeah.
Where it's like, just grab a villain and tell a good story.
Yeah, exactly. Did you ever finish watching The Peripheral?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay, that's very heavy multiverse, right?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which when they went in that direction, I was like, oh, okay.
But that's my point. You're like,
Yeah.
all right.
I thought it was going to be something else. I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be a little bit more creative than the
Yeah.
multiverse, because it seems like everybody's doing multiverse right now.
Yeah, I think that's the problem too. Everybody's doing multiverse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The silo has been amazing. Like,
Yeah, you keep
check
plugging.
out the silo.
Okay.
If that ends up being a multiverse thing, I'm going to be pissed, but I don't think it is.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to think of oh, I watched something today that I saw the trailers for it in 2017. Never watched it. I saw 5 minutes of it and thought, I'm not in the mood for it. And I never went back to it. I went back to it today. Do you remember the movie Valerian and the Planet and a Thousand Planets or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah, I do.
Valerian and the Thousands of Planets or something like that. Something like that.
That's not the title, but yeah, I know the movie.
Yeah. Okay. What did you think of that?
I liked it.
Me too.
It's based on a French comic book, so it's
I figured it was.
It's got a very different feel,
Yeah.
and it's from the same Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets.
That's it.
I liked it because it is one of those films where they just drop you in
Yes.
to this world.
Yes.
And they're
Which
like,
was fantastically creative.
yep.
Oh
And
my gosh.
figure it out. Like, do you know who these people are? No, you don't need to. Moving on. And you just,
that's true. Because what was funny, the whole
cool.
time Gwen's going, Dad, what's that thing? I'm like, I got no idea what that is. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. You know,
the shopping planet in the other dimension, that was creative. I thought
very
that was
creative.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot.
Yeah. The only thing I didn't buy was that relationship, and I can't figure out. It's Claire Danes. Is her name Danes?
No, it's Claire Delavan.
Is she a bad actress?
I think so.
Okay, me too. I was like that. By the like you said, like I didn't buy them.
Yeah.
I actually liked him more than I liked.
It's weird. Like he's not your typical hero type.
No, if you would have dropped a 20, 30 something Bruce Willis in that, you would have gone,
sure. Okay. So
I know.
Okay. Yeah. What I was gonna say for the people at home, the guy that directed this film and the producer behind it is the same guy that did The Fifth Element. You can see it absolutely, and you can tell where The Fifth Element was heavily influenced by this comic.
Yes. But that was another great one where you just dropped in.
You just drop in, and here we go with the story. Like, just deal with it. Here we go.
Yeah.
And Dane DeHaan is the guy who plays Valerian. I mean, he's not the hero type. So in his physical, good actor, but his physical presence is not heroic at all. No. He's more like the greasy burglar guy. So it was kind of hard to buy their relationship as
very hard. Even the dialogue between them was weird. It was
it was a weird film. Did it come out before COVID?
Oh yeah, 2017.
Okay. I mean, I remember I saw it in the theater. My wife and I really liked it. We own it. Like I bought it on streaming. But it's still one. It's what I call a laundry folding film. Like you're not like on a Friday night where we want to watch a really good movie. What do you want to watch? Valerian? No, not Valerian. Valerian is for Sunday afternoons in between football and whatever else is happening. So it's not that.
Yeah, I liked it today, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't understand why this didn't take off.
The marketing was terrible.
Okay, I mean, either that, and I kind of thought they didn't have star power. In fact, the star power was Ethan Hawke and
Rihanna, who are barely in the film.
Yeah.
And that was part of the marketing issue, was like I thought Rihanna was a major player in the film,
Yeah.
like according to the previews. And then
Yes.
when you watch the film and Rihanna's just kind of in and out, and you're like, huh, that's it? Like
Yeah.
that's all we okay.
I
Well
think they
there
failed
she
because they
goes.
picked those two actors.
Yeah.
Like if
But
they would have, I kept trying to think who would you get for that movie that was like a big deal in 2017 that would have made that work.
and at the same time, without featuring them in the marketing,
Yeah,
how do you sell that film?
yeah,
Like you've got your two main leads that nobody's really ever heard of, um, and a story that, unless you're kind of an old school comic historian kind of guy, you
yeah.
don't know. I mean, because it was a purely French comic. Like I think it was recently translated to English.
Well, that was a lot like Ultra Carbon on Netflix.
Altered Carbon.
Altered Carbon. I didn't see
Yeah.
season two. I didn't even finish season one, but I
The
was.
I read the
That's
book.
another one. They drop you in there, and you're like,
I read the book. I mean, I got the book from a recommendation from a buddy of mine.
long time
It-
ago before the movie.
yeah, before the show came out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I was in the middle of the Dresden Files, and I
Yes.
said, I'm really just loving the hardcore private investigator, like pulp novel-y
Yeah. Why
kind of
haven't they made a damn Netflix series on that?
on Dresden.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I don't know. I mean, the sci-fi show was terrible. Like,
Yes, it was. Yeah.
and because there were rights issues, like there were, like they could do some things, but they couldn't do the others. And I'm not. There was like a 1 hour YouTube video on why that all went wrong,
Right.
and I watched it, but it was just a fan made video.
Yeah.
Anyway, with what was it? Oh, with Alto Carbon. Yeah, I got the recommendation from a friend of mine saying, well, if you're looking to just take a break from Dresden, try this. And I got it and I really liked it. Like it was really good. And I mean, there are multiple novels. And I tried the second one, which just wasn't quite as good as the first one.
That was the first
And
one.
I go, okay, well, I don't need to. And even my buddy told me that. He's like, they kind of go downhill from there.
Okay.
But the first one was phenomenal. And just the concept of kind of the body hopping and stuff like that
Stems and
was
stuff
really
like that,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
Stems?
cool. Stims. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, I just those were the movies I watched this weekend. We had a lot going on, but I somehow found a way to watch 3 movies.
That is impressive.
Yeah. So I don't know how that happened because that never happens. But anyway, yeah, it happened. So
Yeah.
what about you, man? I feel like
Oh,
we
it's
can talk
it's
about
gonna be a
everything I've
big
been
week.
doing.
It's gonna be a big week. I mean, I've got contractors at my house starting tomorrow. No, they're halfway through the project. We're getting some patio porch in the back.
Nice.
Which by the way, next time you come up, it's gonna be awesome. Like it's a
Cool.
very nice space. Um, so we're doing that. I've got my daughter's graduation is on Saturday, which everything is leading up to that, and then the following week is her graduation party.
Mm,
So we remember when I said, and this was a long time ago that I told you this, and I even talked about it on the show. So we bought this house when my kids were still very young, like still young enough. I think my youngest was two or
okay.
three, to the point where we've got Sharpie on the walls
Right.
because they made off with a Sharpie and they drew on the walls. I went, I'm not taking care of that until we're out of this damn phase
Okay.
where
You don't
we've
want
been out.
another Sharpie. Yes.
Right. We've been out of this phase for a while
Right.
and we just never took care of it. Well, guess what?
Take
now
care
it's
of it.
now it's like, we gotta take care of it. So we're painting almost the entire downstairs. We've
You
got that
paint or
open,
you getting
open
contractors to come and paint?
No, we're painting.
God bless you. I hate painting with a passion.
I'm not a fan at all. And I'm not steady handed enough to do where the colors come together. Like if I do that, then it looks like shit. So that's up to my wife and my youngest daughter because they have steady hands and can do that. But but then we're still fighting around work schedules, school schedules,
Yeah, of course. The
just
rest of
like,
life goes on. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think every night last week we had something happening,
Yeah.
commitment. I mean, and some of them we could drop. Like I could just not show up to D&D for a week, but damn it, I don't want to do that. That's kind of my one thing that I do.
Right.
So yeah, trying to maintain all that, get ready for this party, the budgeting aspect of like who's all coming to the party. I don't know. Well, who has RSVP'd? This many people. We've invited this many.
Yeah.
And other people are still saying they're coming, but they didn't RSVP.
They have an
So what?
RSVP.
So then, and coming off of my nephew's party, and they had so much food, so much leftover. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to like start shipping people off with leftovers because there's no way we're going to get through it. So we're trying to be better planners of all that, but at the same time, you're like, I don't know. And also, do you give a shit? Do you go, well, we're going to buy this much, this much soda, this much beer. And then it's like, if you don't have enough and you run out, sorry, dude, should have got here sooner. I mean, do you take that route or do you overbuy and then, end up with 7 extra cases of a diet soda that you're never going to drink? And then you go, well, do we load it up and take it back to Costco? I mean, do we do that? I mean, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. If you didn't touch
You
it.
you totally could. You could be like, hey, we didn't get to this. You can take it back now. I mean, and get your money back, but that's even sounds like a pain in the ass. Like, so I don't know. Or things you don't think about, like trash cans.
Like, how many should we have out there?
Well, we don't have I mean, we've got our big collective,
How
like
many people did you invite?
around 150, 160.
That's a lot of people, right?
It's a lot of people, but not all of them. Some of them live out of state.
So that was more of just a courtesy invite.
Yeah, people that we've been friends with forever, like our friends, Heather and Matt down in Texas. I got a cousin down in Texas. Yes, I'm going to invite them. They're not coming up.
Right.
Like that would be like if they showed up, it would be you're here.
Yeah, right.
Surely you've had other business to attend to up here rather than just coming up for this, right?
What the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Or like our friends, I invited them. They've interacted with my daughter. I mean, it's been pleasant. So and as well as things, it's like, why would I not invite them? Sure, I'll invite Jen and Farah and have them. If they show up, it'll be fantastic. If they don't show up, well, they had shit to do, But when you're trying to plan for that, and you're like, are they going to show up? I'm like, well, they haven't RSVP'd yet, but they said it would be great if we could make it. Like, we'll see what's going on. Like, they're all maybes. Yeah. And so you're like, well, if they come, they're going to want food. So you got to plan this much pork butt, this much in sides. You figure if they bring their kids, they're going to have soda and water. If they come, maybe they'll have a couple beers, a couple seltzers. Do you put out hard liquor? No, we're going to skip the hard liquor. We're not going to do that. I mean, it's all
right. Yeah, don't do the hard liquor.
Yeah. I mean, because it's a high schooler's graduation party. Yeah. That being said, I'll admit that I went to a baptism that had hard liquor all over the place. So you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Partying for stuff like that's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. And we've never done it before. Like by
the time Lane's ready, you'll be.
Yeah. You hope so. I mean, she's going into
Lane will get the best party.
She's going to 8th grade, so we've got 5 years to figure that one out, and we've got another one in between there. So.
Right. Yeah. All right, man. Sounds like you have your hands full the next 2 weeks.
I do. And then there's work stuff. Like, there's onboarding happening, which is my baby, and I run it, and we've got all this. It was going to be the week after everything chills out, like the week after the graduation party. Yeah. I thought I was going to have to travel out of state for work, and they turned that into a virtual thing. So
nice.
Thumbs up there. The following weekend, we're supposed to go to a wedding. Like that's why my entire month of June, all my weekends are just absolutely booked.
Booked. Yep. Yeah, that sounds like what's going on with us too. Yeah. And then sprinkle in a funeral here that you got to drive down to all of a sudden. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, next thing you know, I was thinking there's a certain thing that happens at work. I don't miss work. I really don't do it. So one of the things that
Oh,
I'm
you mean like you don't not go to work is what you're saying.
right, yeah.
Okay.
How did I come
Well, you
across?
said miss work. I just was like kind of I had to miss work. What did you really miss it? Like it's not an emotional thing. You're saying
Yes, yeah.
you don't take days off.
No, I really don't.
Right.
And I for one of the things that we are judged on is, do we hit all of our store calls within our cycle?
Correct.
And I used to have a perfect record. I always hit my storage calls.
Yeah.
The last 2 months, I might be at 50% of my store calls, which has never happened. And now I
Yeah.
have this new boss, and I'm like, oh damn, are they thinking
Ooh.
like all
Yeah.
this shit just coming on all of a sudden where I'm having to do less work and pay attention to more things
Yeah.
in my personal life. And I'm like, oh my God, this new boss is gonna think I'm this lazy ass.
Talk to him. Be like, hey
Yeah.
man, you can look at my records.
Yeah.
I'm just in this season of life right now where I just got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm the
yeah,
same
good
way.
idea.
Like, and my place has unlimited PTO.
Yeah.
Like that's our policy.
Mhm.
So like I took a half day last Friday.
Yeah.
Because with this patio beam board, there was like a scheduling issue, and it was either you're not going to get it before the party, in which case I was kind of like, oh damn, or we can be here like tomorrow. Kind of.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were some issues with that. So it's like, you mean we're going back and forth, and what do we do?
Yep.
And when we finally said, okay, we're going to pull the trigger on this and have this happen, my son gets sick
Yeah.
and I got to take him to the doctor. So, and so all this stuff's happening. I just went to my boss. I'm like, look, on Thursday morning, I need to take a half day on Friday. I know you just gave me off last Friday because of the conference where I was working, from, I worked through the weekend because the conference was over the weekend as well. And you literally gave me off because I had put in like 12 days straight of work,
Right.
almost 14. And I said, I know I took off last week. I need a half day this week. And then I looked at my calendar. I'm like, and I took off the day before the party, which is next week.
Mhm.
And now I have to take off for this wedding that we have to drive to at the end of the month, which if I say we're going to a wedding, you just figure it's on a Saturday. Lo and behold, this one's on a Friday afternoon. I'm like,
Yeah, people are doing that lately.
well, it's cheaper. I certainly understand the thought process behind it, but then it's
You gotta take off.
it's west of Green Bay. It's in
Yeah.
Appleton. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Okay, yep. I guess I got to take off. And so I feel bad. Like
Me
I
too.
think
Me too.
it's a little bit of our north northern Midwestern mentality of like taking off work is just something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Luckily, my team was like, dude, we get it. You're fine. Like just take your days.
Yeah.
You've earned them, and then that's it. No big deal. So yeah, it is what it is, man.
It is. All right, man. So we got a
Yeah.
lot to do, and
A lot of things going on.
let's go start doing them. So
Yeah.
we'll end it here.
So my little sign off this week, you guys mostly know the sign off, but I'm going to read a little something because it's Pride Month, and already I'm running into interesting conversations, I'll say.
Okay.
So something to keep in mind when it comes to people that feel targeted. The target is not Christians; it's Christian nationalism, which is the toxic Christianity.
Okay.
The target is not men; it's the patriarchy that has kept women under their thumb for so long. The target is not white people; it's white supremacy, which is bad. The target is not heterosexuals and them forcing an agenda on you. It's homophobia. You got to realize that people are people. So don't take it personally. Join the work and dismantle the other oppressive systems. And while you're doing all that, don't be a douche.
Well said. So I will end it there. For the Greg, this is Johnny saying thank you for watching. Guys, I promise you we're going to get back on track at some point, but
It'll be a schedule again.
Be busy. So we'll see you not next week, but the following week. San Diego, a party's coming up, and that'll be it. So take care. Podcast out. See you later. Thank you.